Welcome to PlayPianoToday.com. This is the second chapter of a piano lesson series titled Power Fingers, developing power, speed, and hand and finger independence on the piano and the keyboard. One of the biggest hurdles that piano players have got to jump over is getting their hands and their fingers to play independently of one another. Meaning this, when you start out playing, your hands kind of start doing exactly the same thing, and that's a good way to start. But you've got to get to the place where your hands are playing different and complementary things. For instance, my hands are playing completely different things, but hopefully they're complementary to one another. But how do you get from here to there? In this series of lessons, I'm going to show you many different exercises that'll disengage your hands and your fingers from one another so that they're playing something completely different but complementary. Let's dig in, and we're going to start very, very simple. But hang on, because we're going to get to the point where you're playing many different polyrhythmic things. This is so much fun. Lots to dig into. One of the simplest exercises to begin is starting with the simple chord in both hands. This is E minor, E, G, and B. We're playing exactly the same thing in both hands. Now, whether you've played for years or you're just beginning, you can do what I'm about to do here. I want you to play this 8 times like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Obviously, that's very simple, right? Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to hold the E minor chord in the left hand while the right hand plays it 8 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's just barely more complex, but it's something to begin. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now let's reverse it. The left hand is going to play it 8 times. The right hand's going to hold it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And your brain might be starting to rebel at this point because it sees what's coming. You can probably guess where we're going. We're going to do all kinds of really interesting things back and forth to get these hands independent. I'm hoping that you'll go to your keyboard and you'll try this stuff as we're digging in. But let's do that back and forth. So the right hand's going to play 8 times while the left hand holds, and then vice versa, right in a row. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Back and forth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Kind of interesting. So go back and practice that. When you're ready for the next step, here it is. So far we did this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we swapped it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would be good to do for a while, just to get your hands warmed up. And now we're going to take it to the next level. Your right hand is going to continue doing exactly the same thing, but now the left hand is going to play twice as fast, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you get that? So the left hand is hitting twice as fast. Let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now let's swap hands. You can see what's coming here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And my right hand is hitting twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is getting increasingly complex, but we're going to dig in to the point where your hands really don't have to think about it. So now let's go back and forth. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. This is the tricky part. Going back and forth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. this is one of those concepts that's really easy to explain, but it sometimes can be hard to do in your hands. So one of the real simple things you can do at home is go really slow. I'm going at an average, maybe a little faster pace so that you can get the information quickly. But you can play it this fast. Right? And swap it. There's no harm there. And then move it up in tempo. Because we're actually going to go another step further. But you know what? Practice what you know until you get it real comfortable. So now the next logical step is to double the speed in the slow hand again, like this. Do you see my slower hand is now hitting once for every 2 hits in the faster hand? Now I'm going to swap it. Here we go. Here's a tip. One of the hardest things to do about this, but you've got to get there eventually, is to swap your hands back and forth quickly like this. You see, my hands are taking turns playing slow while the other plays fast, and then they swap. But here's what you can do. You can forget the swap until you get really comfortable like this. You can just stay there and veg. You can read the newspaper if you need to. And then, once you're really comfortable, make the swap. And then your goal is to try and swap a little quicker. Here we go. See, my hands are swapping a little quicker now. Now I'm going to swap them every 4 beats. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just the first start of this lesson. I hope you take that and practice, because we're going to go many times further from here. In the next lesson, we're going to move away from just one chord, so it sounds like this. And we're going to go through doing different progressions with these different exercises. Don't worry, this stuff will come naturally to you if you practice. Okay, we're moving to get your hands and your fingers independent and complementary of one another. So far, we've done an exercise where both hands are playing exactly the same chord, but they're playing it at different tempos, like this. And then we swapped it, where one hand is very slow and the other hand is considerably faster. But then we speeded up the slow hand, didn't we? And we learned to swap that. And then we learned to swap it back and forth quite rapidly. And that's when you began to scream. But you know what? This stuff is so fantastic because your hands really have to become independent so that you can be completely free and creative. So now we're going to do a very similar exercise, but now I'm going to teach you how to do that moving through different progressions. Now let's get out of the world of hand independence just for a second and talk about some simple chords. In this exercise, we're going to use E minor in both hands, E, G, and B. We're going to use C major, C, E, and G. And we're going to use one other chord, B major, B, D sharp, and F sharp. Okay, so now I want you to practice these 3 chords, E minor, C major, and B major. Now, if you get into this exercise and you can't do it because you don't know the chords, don't blame me, because you can pause the video, okay? So E minor, C major, and B major. Now, I'm going to show you something simple, and then we're going to move into something, actually, it's rather beautiful. Let's play those 3 chords now. Going back all the way to the beginning of this whole series, the right hand's going to play 8 hits, and the left hand is just going to play 1 hit. So here we go on E minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now B major. 3, 4, 5, 6. And back to E minor. Okay, now we're going to swap hands. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now C major. 4, 5, 6, 7. And B major. And back to E minor. So far, so good, but go try it. Make sure you don't just watch this. Go try it. I bet you can guess what the next logical step is here. We're going to swap hands, okay? Let's do the same thing over E minor, C major, and B major. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now stay there and swap hands. 1, 2. Now we're going to move to C major. 1, 2, 3, 4. Swap hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now go to B major. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And back to E minor. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Swap hands. Now I actually want to do that again. That's actually getting to the point where it's kind of fun. But we're actually going to take it a whole nother step. Remember to pause this, practice it, and then come back. Now, this may not be rocket science, but let's step through it bit by bit, kind of logically, and do the exact same thing again. But this time, we'll take that left hand and we'll play the chords a little faster. And it would sound like this. So the left hand is still the slower hand, but it's going faster than it did at the beginning. In fact, it's playing once for every 4 chords in the right hand. Now I'm going to swap. Here we go. You've done this before, right? Now, just for handing this stuff off to you, again, I'm handing it off to you faster probably than you can practice it. So now we're going to do just what I showed you over E minor, and then we'll swap hands. Then we'll play it over C major and swap hands. Then we'll play it over B major and swap hands. Okay, so step by step. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Swap hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. C major. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2. B major. 4, 1, 2, 3. Swap hands. And back to E minor. I got to break out of that box once in a while. You can't imagine how important this stuff is to do. I remember back in the day when I was back in college, I used to get there early in the morning in the practice rooms and I would spread the newspaper up on the piano and I'd play my hand exercises for like 20, 30 minutes just while I read the paper. And then when I actually went to music, my hands were all warmed up. You know, your hands are actually like an athlete. You got to treat them that way too. So this is really important stuff. Now we're going to go the next step. Why am I having you play different chords? Well, 2 reasons. One, it's fun because you hear different sounds, and if you're not having fun, what's the point anyway, right? Another reason is you've got to get to the point where you're playing this stuff naturally without thinking about it. So when I give you a new chord to move to, your hands kind of have to go onto autopilot. Okay? So that's another reason to move away from just doing one chord exercise so that your brain has to engage and say, okay, let's do this, and your hands have to keep going automatically. But guess what? I'm going to take you another step again now. This is actually really kind of pretty. We're going to do the same 3 chords, but we're going to do some chord tone movement. What I'm going to have you do is every time you play the E minor chord, I'm going to have you play it and then drop the bottom note 1/2 step or to the next note like this. This note will move here, right? And then we'll do it again. This note will move here, right? Kind of sounds like a Beatles progression, I think. And then this note will move again. Okay. Now we'll move to the C chord. And the bottom note will move down again. And the bottom note will move down again. And now we'll go to the B chord. So the whole thing sounds like this. I'll play it slower again in just a minute, but the whole thing sounds like this. Moving to the C chord. And to the B chord. Now you actually have kind of a musical passage instead of just an exercise. So it's going to sound cool as well as work out your hands. So now let's apply what we've done so far throughout this whole section here. We're going to let your left hand just be the slow hand, okay? So you don't have to think about it too much. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to just drop the bottom note in both chords. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Drop it again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down to C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dropping that bottom note. And we're going to go to the B major chord. Back to E minor. Okay, so now let's do the same thing, but each time we play a chord, we'll then swap hands before we make the movement. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now stay there and swap hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now drop. 2, 3, 4, 5. And swap hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need some violins or maybe some cellos. 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now drop that note. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3. Now we're going to go to C major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to drop the note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3. Drop one more note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to go to B major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And back to E minor. Now that could be the Beatles. It could be, actually sounds like something Queen might write. And I can imagine Freddie Mercury singing over the top of that. So now we're going to do the same thing, and you guessed it, we're going to go the next step. Don't get frustrated by running ahead and trying to do this stuff and pull your hair out. Just stop wherever you're comfortable and get really good at it, and then move ahead with me. Now you know we're going to take you out of your comfort zone again. We're going to take the slow hand and make it go twice as fast. So instead of 8 hits, 6, 7, for every 1 hit on the slow hand, we're going to do 4 hits for every 1 hit on the slow hand. You've seen this before. It sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. So that slow hand is really not quite as slow anymore. It's actually going a little faster. And then when you swap the hands, it'll sound like this, right? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Okay, now I'm going to do that. So what I'll do is I will do this new version where that slow hand is kind of kicking up a little bit. And we'll swap hands, and then we'll drop a note. Swap hands. You know where we're going. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Swap hands. Drop a note. C major now. Drop a note. And B major. Back to E minor. Okay, don't blame me if you're going crazy, because this stuff, it'll make you nuts for a while, but I've seen people that love to do things that are hard, but they see the value in it. Like, I love to play racquetball, and I love to lift weights, and I love to ride my bike. I love to swim. All those things are fantastic, but if you don't ever do them and you just go out all of a sudden one day, you're gonna go crazy because you're gonna hurt yourself. So this has to become a part of your daily routine. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So we're gonna move one step farther forward now. Instead of playing the same exact chord in both hands, we're gonna play the same chord that we did in the right hand, but in the left hand, we're just going to play roots. Now, if you have never gone through our piano course and you'd really like to play by ear, we've got a fantastic piano course that teaches you to play by ear using the revolutionary technique of something called rhythmic patterns, which teaches you to take chords like the E minor chord and then to break them up. And you can break up the C chord the same way. B chord. Those are the same chords we were just playing, but that's just one simple rhythmic pattern from the course titled Pattern, Piano, and Keyboard. And you can take that technique and you can completely make it your own. That's one of the fantastic things about this technique. You'll learn many different rhythmic patterns and how to put them together and mix and match them. I'm excited about it because we literally have had, I don't know how many students we've had. We've been going for like 12 years now on the net, and I've been doing this full time, and we have about 400,000 students every year go through this. And I'm just honored and privileged to be able to hand this off to you. So if you haven't done that and you really want to play, well, of course you want to play. You're going through this material. So I'd encourage you, check it out at playpianotoday.com, and then we're going to go to the next step.